Your host, El Vago, owner, operator of El Vago Burger Barbecue, located at 4701 Banana Drive, Motown, Texas, Molina neighborhood.
Welcome to the Volo Podcast, home of the black sheep and the outcast. Welcome to the Volo Podcast, no cap, true stories, what you know about that? Welcome to the Volo Podcast, home of the black sheep and the outcast. Welcome to the Volo Podcast, no cap, true stories, what you know about that?
Welcome back to the Volo Podcast. I'm your host, El Vago, and today we have a special guest, man. He's been through hell and back, and man, like you literally went through hell and back, man. His name's Mark Jones. Hey, Mark, how you doing, bro?
How's it going, man?
Good,
Great
man.
to be here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming, man. I've been wanting to get you on here for a while, man. We've been talking about it for the past few months, man, but I know you had things going on, and
Yep.
you know, now we're here, man.
Yeah, well, you kept having the chance. I kept coming to get your brisket.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm glad you're a customer of mine too, man.
It's
Yeah.
good stuff.
So where are you originally from, bro?
I'm from, I grew up in Port Aransas,
Here?
born right here in Corpus Christi,
Yeah.
Spawn Hospital.
Oh, okay.
Spent the first 6 or 7 years with my mom,
Uh-huh.
moving around different places, and then ended up living in Port Aransas with my dad.
Yeah.
It's a great place to grow up.
Yeah. You go to school over there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Elementary, junior high, high school, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
You know, had a rocky, childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Screwed up real bad. Dad
Yeah.
was a great dude, but
Uh-huh.
wasn't really much on discipline.
Yeah.
And so about 4 or 5 years, didn't have any. Brother shows up. He spends the next 2-3 years straightening me out.
Yeah.
It took a while.
How did that go?
Well, I'm a firm believer in discipline now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much. But the Army finished the process.
Yeah.
Desert Shield, Desert Storm was what actually finished it.
That's badass.
You see things over there and you realize the stuff that you're going through in a normal civilian's life is, they can't do any of that without the military protecting them.
Yeah. For
They
real,
just
man.
can't do it.
Yeah.
And that made me have a whole new outlook on life, and it changed pretty much almost everything about me.
Yeah.
So
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have my brother. I have a brother and a sister, Donald and Mary Elizabeth. And I have my 2 brothers now that went through hell with me,
Yeah.
Dom and Ken. I'm blessed with that. I got a great family.
That's good.
You know,
man.
and you've been there. Without family, it's really hard to make
Oh,
it through
yeah.
that.
Do anything, man.
Yeah. And I had great family. They were behind me 100% the whole way.
Yeah. Your mom's still alive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Living with me now.
Oh, yeah, that's nice, man. That's
Yeah, I moved her in. Where she was living at had a problem with mold, and I was like, no, we're not going for that. Moved her out of there within the week.
Yeah. And your dad?
He passed away while I was in prison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry about that.
great dude. Really was. Just wasn't much on this one.
Yeah.
He taught me how to play pool, amongst other things.
You still play pool?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have a pool table at my house.
Oh, badass, man. You pretty good?
I used to be better, but I'm decent. You're
Yeah.
welcome to come over and beat my ass anytime you want.
I doubt that, man. I'm all right. I ain't that great. I ain't gonna lie. I just learned to go in little pool halls here and there when I was a kid.
Yep.
But so you graduated from?
Yep, 1989. Small school. There was only 93 students in the entire school. Graduating class was only 22.
Mm-hmm. So you went straight to the Army after you graduated?
Yep.
How old were you?
I was 18 years old
18
when I
years
went to
old.
the, when I finished. I joined the Army when I was 17.
Mhm.
Went to basic training. They had done something called split training reserve.
Uh-huh.
Came back, finished my last year of high school, and doing reserve meetings once a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then when high school graduated, then I went and finished the AIT training, and then went active duty from there.
Oh, okay.
And traveled to Fort Stewart,
Yeah.
and it's about 40 miles outside of Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
40, 45 miles. there are worse places to be. It's a really good place. It's a really good
Yeah.
base. The Army's a really good place to go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You get to see some action out there.
I did not.
Yeah.
My time in the military, when I was in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I never was in direct combat myself. I saw a lot of the results of that combat, and it's not pretty. And
Yeah.
there's very few Hollywood movies that actually get it right.
Mhm.
It's not a pretty thing.
What would you say was the most accurate military movie you ever seen?
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah,
pretty close.
that's one of my favorite movies, man.
Black Hawk Down was pretty close. The movie with Andrew Garfield, the one that played Spider-Man the 2nd
Mhm.
time, where he played the medic, I can't remember the name of the movie. He was a non-combatant medic. He was a pacifist,
Yeah.
and he went through all kind of heck, and he saved. This is based on a true story, actually, and he saved like 40 people after a Japanese ambush. He
Yeah.
literally hid and went out and treated people and lowered them down. Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah. Oh, great movie.
Yeah. I'm gonna check that one out.
Great
man.
movie.
Yeah.
And so that one was pretty accurate too.
So walk us through what happened, man, and when you were in the military until you got in your situation.
Well, obviously basic training in 88 and then AIT in 87 and 89. Got to Fort Stewart. I was actually supposed to go to an infantry unit, and somebody got injured in the communications battalion. So I got sent there to replace him, and that's how I ended up being with them for Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Went through the whole Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Interesting time.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting time. Came back, and I was met a girl. I'd met her before, but to tell you how much Desert Shield changed me. Before Desert Shield, Desert Storm, she didn't like me very much.
Yeah.
After Desert Shield, Desert Storm, she ended up falling in love with me. It, like I said, war changes people.
Yeah.
We were dating for several months. We ended up getting engaged to get married, and we were set the wedding date for February 1st, 1992. Wedding rehearsal dinner happened the night before, and we did the wedding rehearsal. Everything went great. My family's there, my dad, my mom, her family, people from out of town. There's going to actually be a fairly decent size wedding. It's going to take place on the base at one of the base chapels. We go to a Golden Corral and have our wedding rehearsal dinner. Again, everything's going great. We're just having a good time. When one of my friends, Dom, suggests that it's time to have your bachelor party. I don't know what went off in my head, but something just says no. I tell him, no bachelor party, not interested. My fiance, on the other hand, says, no, it's traditional. You need to have a bachelor party. I just about have her convinced. Bachelor parties are for guys that are a little sad to see their single days being done.
Yeah.
Before they get married. I was waiting. I couldn't wait till the next day. I just about have her convinced when my mother, who's obviously there for all this, jumps in on my fiance's side. When the two most important women in your world are combined against you in something, you throw your hands up and you give up.
Yeah.
You're going to lose. So it's decided we're going on a bachelor party. So Ken and Dominic and I go outside, and we're trying to figure out where we're going to go. And it's complicated by the fact that between the time Dominic suggested the bachelor party and the time we got outside, he met one of the bridesmaids, a young lady named Honor. Completely changed his mind on what he wanted to do that night.
Yeah.
But I said, no. You got me into this. You're going.
Yeah.
So a few minutes later, we get ready to leave. While we're out there discussing all this, didn't know this at the time, but one of the ladies that had served us inside was getting off work. This is around 9:30, 9:35.
Mm-hmm.
She walks out. She's leaving. She's going home for the night. She gets off at 9:30. We're still in the parking lot talking. Mind you, that time is important.
Yeah.
We leave to go to Savannah. On the way, Dominic says, well, I know a place up the road. Let's try that. Wouldn't let me in. I was only 20. I was I was like 2 months away from being 21, but they're like, don't. Even though I don't drink,
Yeah.
they said no. So we ended up going to Savannah from there. Savannah's a decent distance from Hinesville. Remember, we're witnessed between 9:30 and 9:35 in the parking lot
Mm-hmm.
by the waitress leaving at 9:30. So we're still in the parking lot at that point. The guy that got a drive-by shooting done to him in downtown Savannah, middle of downtown Savannah,
Uh-huh.
the 911 call came at 10:07, which means he got shot between 10 and 10:05.
Mm-hmm.
That's a half hour. There's no way you're going to get from Hinesville, Georgia, middle of Hinesville, to
Yeah.
downtown Savannah in a half hour. You're not doing it. There's just no way. The police in that area are thick, especially on a weekend night, which this
Yeah.
was. They're thick. You're not doing 110, 115 miles an hour in Savannah. You ain't doing it. You're going to get seen. You're going to get pulled over, and you're going to go to
Oh,
jail.
yeah, of course. Shit.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But according to them, we're the ones that did the shooting
Oh,
when
man.
there's no way we could be there.
Yeah.
We end up going to a club. They won't let me in. A fairly inebriated taxi driver gives us some really screwed up directions to another place. Okay, we try. We get lost. We ask a couple of police officers along the way. They say it's over in that direction. That's the best we can get from them. One of them gives us a kind of little bit better direction, but that's it. And we actually end up driving right by where the crime scene of where we supposedly shot this guy is at.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's full-fledged. You've seen crime scenes where, before they had 30, 40 police officers there,
Yeah.
15 cars, ambulances, everything. That had been there a while. Obviously, you can't go that way, so we had to turn around and go another way. We finally end up in front of a police precinct. And there's this female officer coming across with a guy in a suit. And I asked her, we pulled up right there and asked her, I says, ma'am, can you tell us where this club is at? And she said, oh, yeah, it's right there. I mean, she can literally point to it. It's cat
Yeah.
corner. This has got to be the safest club in Savannah. It is literally right at cat corner to a major police barracks.
Mm-hmm.
I nod at the guy that's next to her just to be, polite, and we drive on. This is the guy, we find out later, that was the so-called witness to the guy getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
He says, that kind of looks like the car. That was in his statement. That was in the police officer statement. Her name was Evans, I think.
Uh-huh.
I think her name was Evans. We're sitting down. Just got our drinks. The lady's just now getting up on the stage. Front door opens up. And the police came in there loaded for bear.
Yeah.
Looked like a tax squad.
Mm.
Long weapons, not just pistols.
Yeah.
Shotguns, M4s or M16s, whatever. And they pour in, and my first thought is I look over at Ken and I go, well, did we come to the wrong place?
Mm-hmm.
And then they turn, pivot, and come right to us. You could have knocked me over with a feather.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on here? We need to see you three outside. Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
We're Army guys. This is the police. Sure, I have no idea what's going on, but fine. They have us standing in front of a white cinder block wall with a green awning with white light coming down from it. Again, this is something we find out later.
Mm-hmm.
A police cruiser drives by on the street. This is no more than 30 foot away from us. That same guy is in the back seat with a patrol officer and a lieutenant in the front seat. And they're asking this guy whether or not he recognizes us. Is that them? He says, I can't be sure. I don't know. Now remember, this is from 30 foot under almost perfect lighting against a white wall.
Mm-hmm.
He can't identify us at this point. We get taken for questioning. They questioned me for hours. I mean hours, like 3-4 hours. They can't get me to confess to anything because we didn't do it.
Yeah.
They eventually arrest us anyway.
There was 3 of y'all?
Mm-hmm. Me, Ken, and Dominic.
Uh-huh.
They arrest all 3 of us. I mean, what are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
I mean, we're in an army. We don't break the law. We're the people that help protect people.
Yeah.
Why are we here? We don't know the guy that gets shot. Never met him, right? He gets shot in a really bad area of town, and you're accusing 3 white soldiers who had nothing to do with it, weren't even in the area, couldn't have even been in the area. Savannah went up in flames.
Yeah.
Savannah has a very large African-American community. We were accused of a racial drive-by shooting. The year before that, there were 62 murders in Savannah.
Yeah.
They were already on a record-setting pace. The DA tried to paint us as racist. You couldn't have got a fair trial in that city if you wanted to.
Uh-huh.
Our trial happened in November of that year. You know what happened that year, 1992, in the summer in LA?
Yeah.
The Rodney King LA riots. The year before that, in Savannah, a couple of white people got killed in a pretty affluent neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
The police flooded that area. I mean, they went like overboard. But all kind of shootings are happening in black areas in that town, and the police may send 1 squad car, maybe a detective, maybe, and nothing's getting done. The black community was understandably upset about this, and that's a very mild word. They were incensed.
Yeah.
And now they've got 3 white guys accused of killing a black dude. The police, the DA, everybody went way overboard, trying to paint us as, this is us, we're racist, we're this, we're that. When everybody from the army is going, those 3? No. They're not going for it. So I spend, from February 1st until, November during the trial. The other 2 were able to make it out on bond.
How much was your bond?
It's only $30,000. That tells you what the judge thought of this.
Uh-huh.
2 of us had family, they could put property up. My mother decided instead of putting the property up, she would pay for a really good lawyer instead. I agreed with that.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, up to the point where they said guilty, we didn't believe it for an instant that they were going to. I sat in that courtroom. I heard everything the prosecution had to say, and everything the defense had to say. Our lawyer said after the prosecution had rested, he says, normally after the prosecution rests, you have, when the trial starts, you're already kind of presumed guilty because they're taking you to a trial. He says, normally the prosecution gains a lot of ground during their case. Right now, we're about even. And we haven't even put our case on yet.
Yeah.
There's no way we lose this. And I'm sitting there and listening to the whole trial, and I'm like, yeah, I'm agreeing with that. Because they literally had nothing.
Yeah.
We can prove that we couldn't have been there, right? And the witness was, he was saying, yes, it's them emphatically, and we didn't find out till years later. We knew he was lying. We just didn't know why.
Yeah.
We assumed he was lying because we thought he was racist. Not the case. He was lying because the police, according to him, the police and the community were threatening him. There were veiled threats about taking his children away, putting them in, Child Protective Services.
Yeah.
Taking them away and putting them in that.
Like foster care and stuff.
Foster care and putting him in jail. And so before I knew that, I was very angry at the guy.
Yeah.
Now that I know what he went through and why he did what he did, I can't even be angry at him anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure that I could have made a different choice. When you're talking about your kids, what aren't you going to do?
Yeah, that's true.
So, not even angry at him now.
Yeah.
I actually feel a little sorry for him because it ruined his life.
Yeah, I bet.
He before that he was a thriving member of the community. He was an assistant pastor.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of it, no, he was a physical wreck. Had gained over 150 pounds. His wife had passed away. He was living out of a hotel room.
Uh-huh.
When the Innocence Project that took our case found him,
mm-hmm.
and he said, "Thank God somebody finally came looking for me. This whole thing ruined my life."
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
So we get to the trial. They say guilty. Go to prison.
What was your sentencing?
Sentencing was the same day. It was like about 2 hours after that.
Mm-hmm.
We all got life and 5. And, the 5 years is just a cherry on top. It doesn't mean anything. It's life sentence for the murder charge and 5 years for the possession of a firearm and the commission of a crime.
Did they ever find the gun?
No firearms.
Damn.
Makes it even more interesting. According to the witness and according to what they're saying, the guys that killed him, that did the shooting, had screeched to a halt on the other side of the intersection, had leaned out of the windows of a 2-door sports car,
mm-hmm.
fired long weapons back behind the car, AK-47s, pulled themselves back in and left quickly. And according to the witness, this whole thing took less than 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know about you, but we were driving a 2-door Chevy Cavalier from 1992.
Yeah, that's a little car.
That's a little bitty car.
Yeah.
It's a 2-door.
Uh-huh.
First off, one person from the passenger seat leaning out. Okay. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I truly can. I can even see it with an AK. It's going to be awkward.
Yeah.
But I can see it. They said myself and Ken were both leaning out that passenger window. I don't know if you've seen those old 2-door Chevy Cavaliers.
No, I know exactly what they look like.
You're not, if you're in the back seat leaning out that side window, you're not doing it.
The seat has to go forward.
Yeah, and there's no way you're going to do it if there's somebody up front that's doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not happening. But that's what they said happened. And we pointed this out. It's a physical impossibility.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, if it had happened the way they said they did, that means if I'm firing an AK-47 at something behind the vehicle, ejection port is on the right-hand side. And if I'm in the front seat, like they say, and Kenny's in the back, and I'm firing behind the vehicle, now remember, I'm military trained.
Yeah.
I don't fire a weapon sideways or this, that, and the other. I'm reaching back and I'm firing it the right way.
Yeah.
Right? So with Kenny, where's the shell casings going? If I'm firing like that and Kenny's right there, shell casings are hitting him in the face.
Yep.
And in the window and in the black paint of the car. Where's the paint chips in the car? Where's the powder burns on his face? Heck, where's the brass casing burns on his face?
Mm-hmm.
If he's firing, where's all the paint chips in the car? On top of that, where's the shell casings that would be inside the car? Oh, by the way, the car had cloth lower seats. Where's the gunpowder residue?
Yeah.
None. Completely clean.
Did they test you for gunpowder in your hands? Did
They
they find
did.
any?
They found residual gunpowder residue on my hand, on my right hand.
Mm-hmm.
We showed that came from a set of Army load-bearing equipment that had been to a 50 caliber range that day that I had put into the trunk.
Mm.
And it was wet.
And they didn't take that into consideration?
They tried to gloss over it. We put it up, we brought it up, we showed them.
Mm-hmm.
Another lady from the Army lied and said that I had told her that I was going to Savannah that night to do something.
What the fuck?
She says I was on base in uniform at a battalion command inspection the day this happened.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. Just a few things we completely showed that she was lying.
Yeah.
One, if there's a battalion command inspection, that's going to be in the battalion book or the log.
Mm-hmm.
Not there. Two, I'm already on leave at that point. That's in the paperwork. Why I'm on base in uniform if I'm on leave? And I live off base. I don't live in the barracks.
Yeah.
So why am I around the barracks area in uniform?
Man, that's crazy, man.
You know. Three, we proved that I was off base all day getting prepared for the wedding the next day.
Mm-hmm.
We proved, not even any shadow of a doubt, proved she was lying.
Yeah.
They still use that on me.
So, man, how did you feel when they told you life with 5?
The only reason I didn't collapse is because I was in uniform.
Yeah.
I mean, I stood there and I just went numb. I couldn't believe it. It wasn't even the sentence. When they said guilty, it's like I went completely numb. I was like, what? You know, my legs started to go, just completely weak on me. Because, I mean, it just, up to that point, I had no belief whatsoever they were going to be able to convict us. We proved we didn't do this.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't care, And then we find out one of the jurors was basically lied, knew the victim's family, and came in with preconceived notions of our guilt. Another one was a lawyer on the jury whose brother was going through a murder trial in the same courthouse during the same time. And he was telling the jury bad legal information. We don't know if that was to try to help his brother out or what, but the jury, I haven't told a lot of people this part, but one of the guards, the deputies from Chatham County, I was in a holding cell. Remember, I was still out. I wasn't out on bond. So in between, the trial and whatever, I was in a holding cell. He came and said, "You guys are good. Don't worry about it. You're going to be going home soon." This is another reason why I was completely stunned.
Yeah.
He said that he heard them in there, several of them screaming, "There's no freaking way they could have done it. They've already shown they couldn't have been there." He said like, at least 7 or 8 of them were yelling it. And 20 or 30 minutes later, we get called out to hear the verdict. I'm thinking to myself, we're good.
Yeah.
Guilty. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, man.
Those 2 jurors.
So they send you straight to prison, or you had to wait in county?
We waited in county for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we got to county, because of the tent situation, they put us directly into protective custody.
Mm-hmm.
There was no, we want protective custody. It says you're going to protective custody. When you're in that situation, they're not going to put you in regular pop. Just not going to do it. Prison, on the other hand, they don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
The diagnostic does. Again, they put us automatically into administrative protective custody. From there, in January, I got there in December. In January, the other 2 had already transferred out. I was the last one to go. No. Yeah, I was the last one to go.
Mm-hmm.
I transferred to Hancock State Prison in January.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I was incarcerated that I wasn't in protective custody.
How did that go?
Oh, well, it was interesting. You know how prison is right off the rip.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in this room that for someone, they had their own little diagnostic cell block. 52-man cells. For whatever reason, I didn't actually have a roommate at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there. There was a book in the empty locker. I'm, literally more. Had to have something to read.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the desk. You know how those desks are. You got this little locker on either side. You got this desk about this wide, and you got this stool that you're supposed to sit on at the desk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Put a pillow on it, whatever. But I'm sitting on the desk with my feet on the stool, and this little bitty guy comes in. 5'1", 5'2", maybe weighs 120 pounds soaking wet, maybe. And he starts talking all kind of junk about how he's going to make me his,
His bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I set the book down and I start to stand up. He says, I'm not done talking to you. I says, oh, you're done. I picked him up and slammed his ribs right on that stool, drug him out of the cell and slid him halfway across the floor. They had wax floors. He slid real good. 120 pounds. I weighed 210 at that point. And I was very, very strong.
Yeah.
So he slid about halfway across the door. I says, anybody else want to make me their bitch? Why don't we go have that conversation right now? Strangely enough, nobody did.
Yeah.
You know what that was? They sent somebody to try you up. They're going to do that every time you come to a new place, unless you already have been in and you carry yourself in the right way.
Yeah.
Now, I had interesting issues for the first couple of years because, well, everybody in there thought I was a racist murderer.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time for them to finally convince everybody, hey, guys, I didn't do it. Had nothing to do with it. I actually had my transcripts. And I was like, look, I'll show you. Look, I can prove to you I wasn't even there. And almost to a man, everybody that read all the stuff in there would tell me the same thing. You got screwed.
Yeah. Big time, man.
Big time. So this goes on for about 2 years. I get into probably 2 to 3 fights every week.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I get squirreled. Sometimes, you know, the good news is at that point in time, it kind of changed and over time in the Georgia system. But there was more of a kind of a one-on-one thing in prison. Even if they're going to squirrel you, there's more of a one-on-one thing. There was a thought of, if you need more than one person, you're kind of a coward type thing.
Yeah.
You know, you're not a man. So I didn't really have to fight multiples. You know, I had to once, obviously lost. I didn't win them all. I didn't lose them all. When you're fighting 4 people, you lose.
Oh, yeah.
I got the first one.
Yeah.
I got the first one. The other 3 kicked me to sleep and I went right under the bed. But no, there was this guy there. This is the last fight I ever got into. And this guy grew up fighting. Been in a gang his whole life, grew up fighting. Was actually a Golden Gloves level boxer. Smaller than me. At this point, I'm about 230, 235. Working out, playing sports. You can get pretty big in prison at that point. And he comes up and just starts on me. Doesn't say anything. You know how the normal prelude people come in and talk a little junk before they start? No, he just came in and swung. Didn't squirrel me. He came right up straight in front of me. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Bow. I ain't never been hit that hard.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't think I ever want to get hit hard again. But the thing was, at that point, I was operating on almost pure anger the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, adrenaline, everything else. And he knocked me back. My head came back around. I just smiled at him. I says, oh, you're a dead man. And he literally stopped, looked at his fist, looked at me and says, oh, this is going to be good. I couldn't lay a hand on him.
Yeah.
God, this guy could fight. This fight went on for a while. The guards were taking bets.
Oh, shit.
And they were running heavily against me.
Yeah. There wasn't very many white guys in there, huh?
No, there wasn't. The average dorm at Hancock was 100 men. Excuse me, 96. There were 24 and 24, 48 cells. 96. And out of those, maybe a third was white. Maybe. The rest of it was mostly black with a smattering of Hispanics. Hispanics don't make up a large portion of the Georgia prison system.
Yeah.
They're, as I understand, in Texas and California, they're a lot larger.
Oh, yeah.
But in Georgia, 15%, maybe 20. Blacks make up about 60 or 70, and whites are like 10%. They make even less than the Hispanics.
Damn.
It's
Yeah.
It's just complete flip flop from outside society, and that made things interesting.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, this guy, we fought for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I couldn't lay a finger on him. I couldn't.
He was just fast.
No, fast, knew how to duck, dodge, everything.
Yeah.
And I just got lucky at one point, and towards the end of the fight, matter of fact, this was the end, and I was, he was dogging, and there's a pole there, and he dodged into it, and I was able to grab him, and I bit him. That's all I could do. I couldn't do anything else. But the whole time, he couldn't even knock the smile off my face.
Yeah.
I was actually, even though he was hitting me hard as hell, I was so angry, I felt it later.
Yeah.
I looked like Willie Lump Lump after that fight. But we ended up actually talking later.
Yeah.
And this will tell you how tough he is. I actually walked up to his cell and I was like, dude, not here to fight you no more. I was like, not here to fight you no more. But he literally has a homemade needle and dental floss, and he's sewing his ear where I bit him, doing it himself.
Oh, Daniel. Yeah, he met you that one day we were over there.
Yeah.
You're at the restaurant.
Yeah. So, and he's like, yeah, guys told me what you did. Had to come straighten you out. He's like, you can take a hit. I was like, yeah, but you can't fart with the damn.
Yeah. Did you go into depression when you were locked up at first?
No, I was too angry.
Yeah.
Depression came after the angry phase.
Yeah.
Now, I knew if I didn't really show that I could handle myself and that I could fight, and I needed anger for that.
Yeah.
So I let it basically free. And I don't like that person. I really don't.
Yeah.
And at the fight that fight I told you about was the last fight I've ever been in. That was in, I'm wanting to say late 94, early 95. That was the last fight I was ever in, because I told him, dude, I didn't do it. And he's like, yeah, right. I showed him the transcripts. He looked at that and goes, I'm going to introduce you to somebody. He and I just got done fighting. He says, I'm going to introduce you to somebody. I don't know what to think about this, but I went, okay. You've been in. There are certain people that are untouchable, whether it's for who they are, who they know, how much money they have, whatever
Their
it is.
family is.
Yeah, they're untouchable. There was one of those at Hancock State Prison. I don't know his name to this day. As I understand it, he was one of the people in Malcolm X's setup. One of those guys in a suit that ran around with him. He'd been in prison for over 25 or 30 years. There were two massive black guys outside his door. And you know how massive guys can get in prison. These guys were massive for prison.
Yeah.
They were probably 350 pounds. The only fat in their frame was probably the hot dogs they had for lunch. They were just, if one of them grabs you, they will squash you like a grape, guys.
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, is he going to get me killed? No. I get introduced to this guy. Small, old, wrinkled. And he told me from the rip, I don't like white people. But I don't like people that get screwed over either. Malcolm X was good about that, actually.
Yeah.
Found that out later. Showed him the transcript. Read through it. He said the same thing everybody else says. You got screwed. It's obvious you're not racist. So here's what I'm going to do. Stay in the cell block for a couple of days. Stay in your room as much as you can. One of my guys will come let you know when you can come out. If you need some soups or something, we'll take care of you. Don't go to the chow hall. Don't go do nothing. Stay in your cell. Stay inside the dorm. Okay? I'm going to get this straightened out. A couple days later, one of those massive guys come over to me and go, you can go do whatever you want. Nobody's going to mess with you as long as you don't do anything stupid. He'd put the word out to all the gangs, everybody. He didn't do it. He's not racist. Unless he screws up, leave him alone. Everything stopped. Cold. Done. Finished.
Yeah.
Never had another major problem while I was in prison. I'd already showed I was willing to fight. Even if I couldn't fight that well. I was willing to prove it, and I was big and strong.
Yeah.
And after fighting the dude that was a Golden Glove and he couldn't knock me out, I guess that gave me a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
So
that fight was a blessing, huh?
Yeah. I didn't pick up at the time, though. I have never been hit by anything that hard.
Yeah.
Ever. Nothing. I mean, that's when somebody that knows what they're doing hits you with a right hook.
Oh, yeah. It's like getting hit by sledgehammers, man.
You feel that.
Yeah.
All the way down to your toes. And then you go numb.
Next day, it feels like you've been in a car accident.
My ribs were bruised. My face looked like Willie Lump Lump. I've never seen or felt anybody hit that hard.
Yeah.
And he only weighed about 150 pounds, but he knew how to hit.
Yeah.
and was fast. Jesus, this guy was fast.
Yeah.
It's looking back on it, I should have been terrified
Yeah.
fighting him. I should have been terrified. I was too angry. It was a way to. At that point, I actually enjoyed fighting. At that point, and I kept stalking him, kept trying to get him, couldn't do it. Could not do it.
So obviously your wedding didn't happen. What happened with that?
Dawn stuck with me for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
She gained weight, stopped going to school. Depression hit her. Depression hit her before it hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Her parents got with me and basically said, "You got to leave it," or more that you got to get her to leave you.
Mm-hmm.
I did. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, because I loved that woman. I did.
Yeah.
But the fact that she was in pain and depressed and wasn't going through, life like she should, I did. Since then, she's now married happily, and she's got a really good life out in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
We've reconnected, and she knows that I told her those things for her benefit, not mine.
Yeah.
And not because I meant them. So we're friends now, and I'm very happy that she's got a very good life. Yeah. I got luckier than I can ever say when I met my present girlfriend.
Yeah.
I really can.
Yeah,
Sam's Club. Who needs a dating app? Go to Sam's Club.
Go to Sam's Club.
So yeah, I see her at the Sam's Club, and she's got this really cool shirt on.
Uh-huh.
And I'm reading the shirt, and she's a guard out at one of the oil refineries, and she deals with roughnecks all day long. And she looks at me and says, "What are you looking at?" Because she thinks I'm looking at her boobs.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and I said, "I'm just reading your shirt." And actually, I says, "Oh, aren't you fierce?" Like a little kitten with claws. She told me that. She says, "Well, you're not afraid of me at all, are you?" I said, "No, not really." And I said, "I've got cats too. Want to see?"
Yeah.
And she said, "Yeah, I want to see." And since then, I've been her vato with gatos.
Yeah. That's cool.
We've been together ever since, and
Everyone blank.
oh yeah, and I told her how many years I'd been in prison.
Uh-huh.
She says, "Well, that's why you're not afraid of me."
Yeah.
Now, once you've been through something like that, and you know what I'm talking about, most things really don't make you afraid anymore.
No.
Makes you maybe cautious. You might think about something, but you're not really afraid.
Yeah.
You've already been through something that means, what is it the Marines say? You've been so afraid you'll never be afraid again.
Yeah.
Kind of the thing. Most things really don't frighten me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not silly or dumb about it, but
Yeah.
if I see a 6'5" dude, I'm not going to go out my way to, say, "Hey,"
Yeah.
But on the same token, if it came down to it, I know now what I'm physically capable of.
How many years did you do?
26 years.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, 26
years, man.
So a group called Centurion Ministry,
Uh-huh.
about 20 years into it, Dominic wrote to them, and he wrote to them before that, and they said, "You got to wait a little bit until all your appeals go through, and then we can look at your case."
Mm-hmm.
So he writes to them a few years later and says, "You're going to take my case, or else we're going to die in here."
Yeah.
Right? That got their attention. So they started writing him and us back and forth. Now, we just thought it was just somebody, we didn't know what this was. So it took a while for us to write back to him, because we're like, "Who's this?" Right? But, we found out they're legit. So we wrote back to them, and they eventually took our case.
Mm-hmm.
And they found what they found. Good Lord.
Yeah.
So the night in question, while we were already in custody, but some white guys were using semi-automatic weapons and threatening black guys on corners, less than a mile from where we were.
Mm-hmm.
That was in a police report that the prosecution had, but did not show the defense. That's a Brady violation. That's what got us back into Supreme Court.
Yeah.
That's what got us back into the appeal process, because it was new information and it was a Brady violation.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the witness recanted at the habeas and we had the Brady should have got us out then.
Yeah.
The judge wouldn't go for it. He said, no, send it to the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court sent it back to them and told them, you will do a Brady analysis on this. Basically a judicial slap in the face.
Mm-hmm.
You missed it. Fix it. Still didn't. Send it back up to them. They did 9-0 unanimous. Overturn the conviction, send back for new trial. We get to Savannah about a month later. The witnesses recanted. They didn't do it. Y'all threatened me into saying they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't have a witness.
Damn.
They have nothing. So, July, I'm wanting to say it was July 12th. They officially dropped the case with prejudice. It's over. So then we had to go through the fight with the Georgia legislature to try to get some compensation. Georgia doesn't give it out easy.
Yeah.
And we didn't get much. It's enough to pay for, basically pay for my house payment. That's it.
Damn, that's horrible, man.
Yeah. Texas, they've got a really good compensation clause for the exonerated. It's $80,000 a year for every year or part thereof you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So at 26 years, that would have been over $3 million.
Yeah.
Tax free. Here you go. Nope.
6 years.
Yeah. You don't get that back. You take what you did from the time you were 20 to the time you were 46 or 47. Everything in between there didn't get done.
Yeah.
401k, not done. Wife and kids, not done. New house of your own, not done. Car, paid for several times, not done.
Yeah.
Money in Social Security, not done. And this is somebody that's exonerated. Everybody that's exonerated, the time they were in, the government should adjust their Social Security to the average household income for the time they were in. So they have all those quarters.
Yeah.
They don't.
Damn.
No social security.
I've had to, work since I've been out. Even with that little bit of compensation, it's not much.
No, it's not.
$600-something over 20 years. It's not a lot. It's like $30-something thousand a year. That's it.
And there's no way you can sue them for all that? No.
Georgia is really weird on how you do lawsuits with them. It isn't like Texas or California. It's almost impossible to sue Georgia and actually win money.
Yeah.
The way they've got it set up, it's just a network. They have X amount of money. Even if you win the case and they say, well, you got to give them $30 million, says, well, there's only $2 million in the budget. That's all they get.
Damn. Man.
Yeah. It's Georgia. No, it's one of the, there's like, I think it's 17 states that don't have compensation clause.
Jesus.
Yeah. And they're one of them.
Did they ever catch the guy who did it?
They did not. No, I don't want to speculate on who did it.
Yeah.
I don't know who did it. All I can say is that whoever did do it, if they're that brazen, doing drive-by shootings, odds are they probably end up in prison for something else already anyway. They're paying for the crime. They just don't have the official conviction on their record.
Yeah.
They're more than likely already paying for the crime. So, and going back to Savannah is definitely, not a good idea. So, John Grisham and the man that founded Centurion Ministries, which is now Centurion, it's an Innocent Project, they wrote a book called Framed. My story, along with Dominic and Ken, it's in there. It's called Last Night Out. There's 9 other stories in there of wrongly convicted and exonerated individuals. John Grisham wrote them along with Jim McCluskey. And they got it out all over the place, Walmart, all over the place. Yeah. I have a signed copy at the house. It's right in my bookcase. It's not even opened except to see that it was signed. It's slid in there. I'm probably going to put it in a little vacuum seal bag. I'm keeping that. But the CBS interview that we did was part of that. Having to relive all that for CBS was not easy.
Yeah.
But now that I've been, hashing it over. I've read the story. It's not as painful now looking back on it. Part of that's probably for the fact that I have a really great lady with me now that, uh, definitely the best emotional support I think I've ever had outside my mom.
Yeah. Yeah, we all get blessed with one in
Yeah.
every life, man.
Oh yeah.
One.
And I certainly have been,
Yeah.
so yeah, I do everything I can to make money now to be able to retire by the time I'm 60.
Yeah.
I
How old are
should-
you now?
I'm 53. I'll be 54 in April.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. I should have been able to retire already. I was going to be in the military.
Mhm.
I should have already been retired.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do?
That's crazy, man.
And the fact of the matter is, people that are exonerated, in a lot of cases, if they can't get compensation, they're in worse situations than people that get paroled or get maxed out or get their sentences maxed out.
Mm.
For example, somebody gets paroled, there's all kind of government programs
Yeah.
to help them, education, Pell Grant, what have you, to help make them productive members of society. If you're
Mhm.
exonerated, government just washes their hands of you.
Yeah.
As far as I know, there are no government program to help the exonerated.
It's like, oh, you're lucky we let you out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
There's nothing for us. There are private programs that try to help.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in California called After Innocence. And that's what they try to do. They reach out to people that have been exonerated and they help them try to get dental help, medical help, things like that. Really good group. I did do legal and law research while in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't very good at it though. We had lawyers still at that time, so
Mhm.
they were doing all the work. And I got, and I don't want anybody to think that the lawyers we had during the trial were not good. They were very good.
It's just
The
who
deck
you're
was,
going
the-
against.
The deck was stacked.
Yeah.
The deck was completely stacked. The judge literally had the National Guard on standby
Mhm.
in case we were found innocent. They fully expected Savannah to go up in riots.
Yeah.
They really did.
Yeah. That's horrible, man.
When you're in
Jesus.
that type of situation, you're not going to win. We tried to get a change of venue. We did everything we could. The lawyers, John Watts Jr. was my lawyer. He was good, but his father was on there, John Watts Sr. He was like Matlock.
Yeah.
There were so many times he made the DA look absolutely silly. And Bill Cox was the other lawyer. He did the same thing.
Well, obviously they had their mind made up, man. They wanted
Yeah.
you guilty. They wanted a body. They wanted to make sure that someone paid for it. And
Exactly.
you were the one
Exactly.
in the position.
We were in a no-win situation at that
Yeah.
point. We just didn't know it. When you're in the situation, how do I trust the judicial system after all this happened to me? I don't entirely trust it, because I know it makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Anything that's made by humans is going to have faults.
Yeah.
It is that simple. But in response to how can I trust it? If you look at the registry of exonerations
Mhm.
for the last 30 years, there's less than 5,000 people on it.
Yeah.
People that have been exonerated
Mhm.
from, the judicial system. Considering the sheer amount of people in prison in the United States, that's a miraculously low number.
Yeah.
They don't always get it right. They obviously don't. But it's the best thing, that's really going on the planet.
Mhm.
Does it need work? Absolutely. One of the things that I think needs to be done, and I don't know if it ever will, is I don't think DAs should be able to run for any type of office for 1 year after they leave the DA's office.
Mhm.
You can't run for anything except for to be DA itself. That's it. You can't run for AG. You can't run for mayor. You can't. That way it takes the political thinking out of DA's heads.
Mhm.
You can't run for any elective office for 1 year after you leave the DA's office. So all the stuff you did is now in the public's mind is in the past. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter anymore. You do that, I think you knock a lot of the coercion and stuff going on in the judicial system that happens.
Yeah.
If there's some sort of benefit then there's somebody out there going to try to take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Man, that's crazy, man. Shit. I'm still shocked on 26 years for nothing.
26 years.
And you didn't even get nothing out of it, you know.
Yeah, like I said, they're paying for my house.
Yeah.
That's it. I still have to work to be able to afford bills.
Yeah.
I have to work to be able to retire. And like I said, I'm 26 years behind on the retirement curve.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, so odds are I won't be able to retire at 60.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna build a retirement together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to do it at 60. No, I didn't take it personal.
Yeah.
You know, the black community, I don't take it personal. I'm not a racist person.
Yeah.
You know, no human being, no matter what color or sex or whatever, is better than any other.
Yeah.
You know, the black community in this country has had its issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got racism, you've got the slavery, the civil rights era, but and because of all that, some of their perceptions are tinted that way.
Yeah.
But when they think that you've killed somebody and they think it's because of racial reasons, I don't blame them for being angry.
Yeah.
I had to survive it. I wouldn't want to do it again.
Yeah.
But no, some of the guys that in prison that, I had, this is going to sound cliche, but a lot of the guys in prison that were friends with were black.
Yeah.
Great guys. It's just, when you're in that situation, you just do whatever you can to convince them, hey, that's not me.
Yeah.
It took a while. It wasn't easy, but no, I was in the Army. In the Army, we don't see race. We see Army green.
Yeah.
Or desert color in case you're in the Middle East.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, that's never been an issue for me.
Yeah.
I don't care what you are. You can be blue polka dot. I wouldn't care.
What was the first thing you did when you got out?
I had a steak and shrimp dinner at my former lawyer's house.
Yeah.
Set up a big thing there. I had a 16-ounce T-bone and I had fried shrimp. First time I'd had that in 26 plus years.
Yeah.
And it was good. The guy can cook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cooked that steak right on his barbecue. Came back to Texas and started rebuilding my life.
Yeah.
And it took a while.
What are your plans for the future?
I'm hoping, like I said, to be able to retire before 60
Mm-hmm.
and just to be able to travel.
Yeah.
And see all the things I was denied seeing, around this country and around the world. I would love to go to Ireland, Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to go to Italy to see the Leaning Tower.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see the pyramids, the Great Wall. I want to see all that. I want to see the Seven Wonders. Will I get the chance to? Who knows? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But it just depends on, how quickly I can earn enough money to put away,
Mm-hmm.
and then hopefully build a little nest egg to be able to travel every once in a while.
Yeah.
That's the best you can do.
Yeah. We're almost out of time, man. Anything else you want to say?
I don't blame anybody
Mm-hmm.
for what happened. It's just a bad situation. What would I like to see the government, state or federal? Like I said, give them their Social Security for the years they were in.
Yeah.
If you're exonerated, you got to give them at least that.
Yeah.
If it's possible, I don't know how to do that. A certain amount of money to get them started.
Mm-hmm.
Enough to get you a house and a car. Put you, especially if you've done, 2-3 decades.
I know, man.
You got to get them on their feet. Otherwise, the odds are, the reason they do all the things for people that are paroled or maxing out is to keep recidivism down. Well, if
Yeah.
you've been in prison 30 years and you don't have any job experience, you need to help them. And the government's not doing it.
Yeah. That's horrible, man.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know how you did it, bro. That's a long time.
don't
We're not
know.
going insane or committing suicide or
No.
oof.
That was one thing I never thought of.
Yeah.
I had, like I said, I had great family support.
Mm-hmm.
If I needed to, I could call them, or my mom would drive up from Florida to visit me, like once a month.
Mm-hmm.
So I had support.
Yeah.
Without that, I don't know if I would have made it.
Yeah, man. Man, I'm sorry, man. You know,
Yeah.
that's a horrible thing to go through, especially because you didn't do it. You know what I mean? It's one thing you did, and then you gotta
Yeah.
fix yourself and try to make yourself a better person to get out and live a normal life. But you didn't even do anything.
Well, thank you for having me. This is really good.
Yes, sir, man. I'm glad you came on here, bro, man.
Yeah. And I hope that it's, you know, it people watch it and maybe they can get with people and,
Yeah.
you know,
This is the reason why I don't go out. I don't go to no parties. I don't go to no clubs, no nothing. I just go to work and go home, man. And this day and age, it's scary, man. You know.
yeah, it is. It's very scary.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I used to go to bars so I could play pool.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, got a pool table now.
Yeah.
New.
Yeah.
No,
All right, man. Thank you for coming, man. I appreciate you so much, man.
I had a great time.
Yeah, sir. All right, we're gonna go ahead and end this. I'll see y'all tomorrow on the gift at 3:00. It's gonna be during the day. So good night. Y'all be safe and
Go to work and no I'll go then home.
yeah.
Your host, El Vago, owner, operator of El Vago Burger Barbecue, located at 4701 Banana Drive, Motown, Texas, Molina neighborhood.
Welcome to the Volo Podcast, home of the black sheep and the outcast. Welcome to the Volo Podcast, no cap, true stories, what you know about that? Welcome to the Volo Podcast, home of the black sheep and the outcast. Welcome to the Volo Podcast, no cap, true stories, what you know about that?